Exchangeable image file format is a standard that specifies the formats for images, sound, and ancillary tags used by digital cameras, scanners and other systems handling image and sound files recorded by digital cameras. The specification uses the following existing file formats with the addition of specific metadata tags: JPEG discrete cosine transform for compressed image files, TIFF Rev 6.0 for uncompressed image files, and RIFF WAV for audio files. It is not supported in JPEG 2000, PNG, or GIF. This standard consists of the Exif image file specification and the Exif audio file specification. Background: the Japan Electronic Industries Development Association produced the initial definition of Exif. Version 2.1 of the specification is dated June 12, 1998. JEITA established Exif version 2.2, dated February 20, 2002 and released in April 2002. Version 2.21 is dated July 11, 2003, but was released in September 2003 following the release of DCF 2.0. The latest, version 2.3, released on April 26, 2010 and revised in May 2013, was jointly formulated by JEITA and CIPA. Exif is supported by almost all camera manufacturers. The metadata tags defined in the Exif standard cover a broad spectrum, date and time information. Digital cameras will record the current date and time and save this in the metadata. Camera settings. This includes static information such as the camera model and make, and information that varies with each image such as orientation, aperture, shutter speed, focal length, metering mode, and ISO speed information. A thumbnail for previewing the picture on the camera's LCD screen, in file managers, or in photo manipulation software. Descriptions, copyright information. Technical. The Exif tag structure is borrowed from TIFF files. On several image-specific properties, there is a large overlap between the tags defined in the TIFF, Exif, TIFF EP, and DCF standards. For descriptive metadata, there is an overlap between Exif and IPTC information interchange model info, which also can be embedded in a JPEG file. When Exif is employed for JPEG files, the Exif data are stored in one of JPEG's defined utility application segments, the APP1, which in effect holds an entire TIFF file within. When Exif is employed in TIFF files, the TIFF private tag 0x8769 defines a sub-image file directory that holds the Exif specified TIFF tags. In addition, Exif also defines a global positioning system sub-IFD using the TIFF private tag 0x8825. Holding location information, and an interoperability IFD specified within the Exif sub-IFD, using the Exif tag 0xa005. Formats specified in Exif standard are defined as folder structures that are based on Exif JPEG in recording formats for memory. When these formats are used as Exif DCF files together with the DCF specification, their scope shall cover devices, recording media, and application software that handle them. Geolocation. The Exif format has standard tags for location information. As of 2014, many cameras and most mobile phones have a built-in GPS receiver that stores the location information in the Exif header when a picture is taken. Some other cameras have a separate GPS receiver that fits into the flash connector or hot shoe. Recorded GPS data can also be added to any digital photograph on a computer either by correlating the timestamps of the photographs with a GPS record from a handheld GPS receiver or manually by using a map or mapping software. The process of adding geographic information to a photograph is known as geotagging. Photo sharing communities like Panoramio, LOC or FLICK equally allow their users to upload geocoded pictures or to add geolocation information online. Program support. Exif data are embedded within the image file itself. While many recent image manipulation programs recognize and preserve Exif data when writing to a modified image, this is not the case for most older programs. Many image gallery programs also recognize Exif data and optionally display it alongside the images. Software libraries, such as libexif for C and Adobe XMP Toolkit or Exif2 for C++, Metadata Extractor for Java, or Image Exif tool for Perl, parse Exif data from files and read-write Exif tag values. Problems. Technical. The Exif format has a number of drawbacks, mostly relating to its use of legacy file structures. The derivation of Exif from the TIFF file structure using offset pointers in the files means that data can be spread anywhere within a file, which means that software is likely to corrupt any pointers or corresponding data that it doesn't decode in code. For this reason, most image editors damage or remove the Exif metadata to some extent upon saving. The standard defines a make-a-note tag, which allows camera manufacturers to place any custom format metadata in the file. This is used increasingly by camera manufacturers to store myriad camera settings not listed in the Exif standard, such as shooting modes, post-processing settings, serial number, focusing modes, etc. As this tag format is proprietary and manufacturer-specific, it can be prohibitively difficult to retrieve this information from an image. Some manufacturers encrypt portions of the information. For example, Nikon encrypts the detailed lens data in their newer make-a-note data versions. The standard only allows TIFF or JPEG files, so there is no provision for a RAW file type which will be a direct data dump from the sensor device. This has caused camera manufacturers to invent many proprietary, incompatible RAW file formats. To solve this problem, Adobe developed the DNG format, in hopes that manufacturers would standardize on a single, RAW file format. The Exif standard specifically states that color depth is always 24 bits. However, many modern cameras, such as the Nikon D70 which captures 36 bits of color per pixel, can capture significantly more. Since Exif DCF files cannot represent this color depth, many manufacturers have developed proprietary, non-compatible RAW image formats. Exif is very often used in images created by scanners, but the standard makes no provisions for any scanner-specific information. Photo manipulation software sometimes fails to update the embedded thumbnail after an editing operation, possibly causing the user to inadvertently publish compromising information. Exif metadata are restricted in size to 64 kilobytes in JPEG images because according to the specification this information must be contained within a single JPEG APP1 segment. Although the FlashPix extensions allow information to span multiple JPEG APP2 segments, these extensions are not commonly used. This has prompted some camera manufacturers to develop non-standard techniques for storing the large preview images used by some digital cameras for LCD review. These non-standard extensions are commonly lost if a user resaves the image using image editor software, possibly rendering the image incompatible with the original camera that created it. There is no way to record time zone information along with the time, thus rendering the stored time ambiguous. There is no field to record readouts of a camera's accelerometers or inertial navigation system. Such data could help to establish the relationship between the image sensor unregistered trademark SXYZ coordinate system and the gravity vector. It could also establish relative camera positions or orientations in a sequence of photos. Privacy and security. Since the Exif tag contains metadata about the photo, it can pose a privacy issue. For example, a photo taken with a GPS-enabled camera can reveal the exact location and time it was taken, and the unique ID number of the device. This is all done by default, often without the user's knowledge. Many users may be unaware that their photos are tagged by default in this manner, or that specialist software may be required to remove the Exif tag before publishing. For example, a whistleblower, journalist or political dissident relying on the protection of anonymity to allow them to report malfeasance by a corporate entity, criminal, or government may therefore find their safety compromised by this default data collection. In December 2012, antivirus programmer John McAfee was arrested in Guatemala while fleeing from alleged persecution in Belize, which shares a border. Vice magazine had published an exclusive interview with McAfee on the run that included a photo of McAfee with a Vice reporter taken with a phone that had geotagged the image. The photo's metadata included GPS coordinates locating McAfee in Guatemala, and he was captured 2 days later. According to documents leaked by Edward Snowden, the NSA is targeting Exif information under the Exchangeable program. Related standards. Metadata Working Group was formed by a consortium of companies in 2006 or 2007. It released its first document on September 24, 2008, giving recommendations concerning the use of Exif, IPTC and XMP metadata in images. Extensible Metadata Platform was created by Adobe Systems to be a better metadata format for photography and image processing. However, it is generally unsupported in cameras. Viewing and editing Exif data. In Windows XP, a subset of the Exif information may be viewed by right-clicking on an image file and clicking Properties. From the Properties dialog, click the Summary tab and then the Advanced button. However, using this tab to edit Exif information may damage certain Exif headers. As of the release of Service Pack 3, Windows XP still shows evidence of corrupting Exif tags when modifying JPEG file properties via the File Properties window. On Mac OS X 10.4 and above, basic Exif information may be viewed in the Finder by doing Get Info on a file and expanding the More Info section. On Unix systems using the GNOME desktop environment, a subset of Exif data can be seen by right-clicking the file in the Nautilus File Manager and selecting Properties. In KDE, it can be seen by right-clicking in the Dolphin File Manager, selecting Properties, and then Information. Many Unix image viewers give the full set of Exif data. In addition, there are many software tools available that allow both viewing and editing of Exif data. Sharing photographs with Exif information may present privacy problems such as revealing a location. Such information may be edited out before sharing the file. Alternatively, there are metadata removal tools that will remove Exif information. Example. The following table shows Exif data for a photo made with a typical digital camera. Notice that authorship and copyright information is generally not provided in the camera's output, so it must be filled in during later stages of processing. Some programs, such as Canon's Digital Photo Professional, allow the name of the owner to be added to the camera itself. FlashPix extensions. The Exif specification also includes a description of FPXR information which may be stored in APP2 of JPEG images using a structure similar to that of a FlashPix file. These FlashPix extensions allow meta information to be preserved when converting between FPXR JPEG images and FlashPix images. FPXR information may be found in images from some models of digital cameras by Kodak and Hewlett-Packard. Below is an example of the FPXR information found in a JPEG image from a Kodak EasyShare V570 digital camera. Exif audio files. The Exif specification describes the RIFF file format used for WAV audio files, and defines a number of tags for storing meta information such as artist, copyright, creation date, and more in these files. The following table gives an example of Exif information found in a WAV file written by the Pentax Optio WP digital camera. Maker note data. The maker note tag contains image information normally in a proprietary binary format. Some of these manufacturer-specific formats have been decoded: YCbCr, Agfa, Canon, Casio, Epson, Fujifilm, Konica Minolta, Kyocera Contax, Nikon, Olympus, Panasonic, Pentax Asahi, Ricoh, Sony, Komatsu, Canon, Casio, Fujifilm, ISL, KDDI, Konica Minolta, Mamiya, Nikon, Panasonic, Pentax, Ricoh, Sigma, Sony, WWL-10-3F Info, Sigma Foveon, Exif Tool, Canon, Casio, Fujifilm, GE, HP, JVC-Victor, Kodak, Leaf, Minolta Konica Minolta, Nikon, Olympus Epson, Panasonic Leica, Pentax Asahi, Reconnix, Ricoh, Samsung, Sanyo, Sigma Foveon, Sony, Alipedia, Olympus. Unfortunately, the proprietary formats used by many manufacturers break if the maker note tag is moved, that is by inserting or editing a tag. which precedes it. The recent edit to the Exif data could be as simple as to add copyright information, an Exif comment, etc. In some cases, camera vendors also store important information only in proprietary make-a-note fields, instead of using available Exif standard tags. An example for this is Nikon's ISO settings tag. See also, comparison of image viewers, comparison of metadata editors, design rule for camera file system, digital photography, extensible metadata platform, geocoded photo, image file formats, IPTC information interchange model, metadata working group, tag image file format / electronic photography, references. External links, Exif standard version 2.3, Exif standard version 2.2 as PDF or as HTML, overview of the revisions to the DCF and Exif standards, Exif in the TIFF tag directory, metadata working group, list of Exif tags including make-a-note tags.